I recently stumbled upon this thread about being rejected from an a cappella group, and it brought to mind a lot of what I've experienced regarding getting rejected as a singer. After my senior recital, after I spent 4 years with my voice teacher, she sat me down and told me I should quit. My reaction was not even what I thought it would be. My reaction was actually really calm. I told her very calmly, I said, listen, if I have a roadblock here, a mental block, if I move on now, the next thing I take on will run into this roadblock. So it doesn't really make sense for me to quit singing. And that was my answer. That was it. That's what I said. It didn't even have to think about it. It was weird because I didn't like prepare to have that happen. I was really taken aback, actually. It did certainly hurt my feelings, but yeah, I just said, okay, well, this teacher is, I've been with this person for 4 years and I haven't made the progress that I think I should have. And so I'll just find another teacher. And the next teacher I had was very, very successful, very famous, expensive, but was also not exactly encouraging. I made a lot of progress under this person, but, having to go to New York and doing all that, and then finding that I wasn't getting some encouragement, I also moved on again. I think that when it comes to auditions, when it comes to teachers, when it comes to rejection as a whole, the best way to deal with it is to just know that there's another opportunity, right? So let's go back to this article, or this Reddit post, rather. In this highlighted section, this individual says that they auditioned for all three of their school's a cappella group. 3 is not a very large number. I remember reading a book about Samuel Ramey, who is one of the most famous opera baritones, or basses even, of all time. Very successful, very phenomenal singer. And the audition success rate that he discussed was about 1 in 10 or 1 in 20, somewhere around there. And said that ordinarily a singer would have to do about maybe 50 auditions. This is a numbers game to a degree. Obviously, your abilities matter, but there's a lot of factors that go into whether or not you get the gig. Really, I think the best way to do this is have a lot of things going on. Have your YouTube channel that you're working on where you post singing. Have your Instagram and all that stuff, and just kind of, make content for you and try to build an audience. So that way that's yours. You always have a platform. It may not be a large platform, but you have a platform. You can live stream to your mother, if you will. So that's yours, right? You can even go a step further and work with bars and work with a lot of other people and things, right? And then you just line up a bunch of auditions. I want to make one point clear. You don't want to audition for just anything. I remember when Hamilton came to town and a bunch of white opera singer friends of mine wanted to audition. Whether or not you think it's right or wrong that Hamilton as a production didn't want white people to audition and they explicitly said so, the fact of the matter is that the people who were making the decisions whether or not to hire somebody explicitly they made clear that they didn't want to hire any white people. So don't waste your time. Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter if you think it's right or wrong. Has no bearing, no consequences. Don't waste your time getting emotional over that. Just don't audition. You are not what they want, right? If there's a role for a mezzo and you're a soprano, don't audition. It's pretty simple. There are so many ways to find auditions. There are so many ways to find agencies, churches, if that's your thing, a cappella groups, paid choirs, orchestras, etc., etc., etc. You can reach out and get an audition. There's a lot of ways to keep yourself busy with auditioning for things that are actually pertinent to your current skill set. So, yeah. And so far that covers have your own platform, audition to as many things as make sense, things, that should be plural, anyway, And don't go where you are not wanted when you audition. So, what would be a third good piece of advice here? Try to have some perspective and some calm. We always overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 10. 10 sounds like a long time. But if this is your goal, if this is your dream, if you want to be a singer, this is what you want as a profession, 10 years is not that long. You know, I set out 10 years and 10,000 hours to be the best singer that I could be. And then on the other side, I knew that I was going to take about 10 years and 10,000 hours to become skilled in running a business, the business of my singing. So that puts me at being successful at about age 40. I think that's fine. I'm in an industry, opera, where that's totally fine. That's totally acceptable. A lot of people end up making their careers at about 40. Cool. If that scares you, here's why. Here's why that might scare you. You probably don't enjoy the process. And this is the biggest thing of all. Do not put your happiness and do not put your life on hold. If 10 years, if the idea of waiting 10 years terrifies you, perhaps, and here's a suggestion, it's because you are not enjoying the current process. If you're in music school and you are watching this, don't worry. Music school kind of sucks. It's kind of terrible. You get a lot out of it. It's a total privilege and opportunity to go to music school. You know, it's a wonderful thing to have, but it's kind of a terrible experience. I don't know a lot of people who had a good time, at least if they were serious. You know, we used to joke in the halls of, you know, did you have your semester's panic attack yet? No, I'm on my third. But if you're not in school, you're about to go to school, or you're, you know, pursuing your profession, it'll take time. And the best way to do that is enjoy the process. Find ways to love your acting work. Find ways to love your working on your music theory. Find ways to love working on your technique. Make a practice session a playing session. Play with different ideas and don't put so much pressure on yourself. If you can balance that and have a life and have some stability, which would mean, yes, a part-time job or full-time job in most cases, then you'll be able to put that time in. And when you're enjoying the process, it really doesn't matter that someone tells you to stop or tells you to quit. Because you're just like, well, no. I like it, so no. You know, it becomes really simple. It really does. I think one of the harder parts of that is that because that was my perspective, it took me a really long time to get myself to sit down and work on music. And there were some other problems I had to solve, anxiety issues I had to take care of. I had to take care of my mental health. And in doing so, then I could sit down and read music. But for 8 years, you know, a little bit less than that, 6 years, I was told that I had to learn to read music, and I knew this, and I wanted to work on it, but I didn't have the wherewithal to sit down and do it. So instead of whipping myself on the back and forcing myself to do it, I went to therapy. I tried sleeping medications, and, you know, because I knew I wanted to. I knew I wanted to sit down and do it. It was the big weakness. It was why I lost a lot of gigs. Technique was pretty good. I made my off-Broadway debut in acting in a straight play. So I knew it was the main weakness. I also didn't have a K-12 music education. I literally came to music school. I went to college illiterate, as in I needed to learn what the notes on the staff were. And I still got my damn degree. So, you know, you got to work on what you got to work on. And don't force yourself to do it, and be patient. Find a way to enjoy working on it. It turns out that the way that I enjoy working on music is choral works. I like harmony more than melody. Go figure. So while it took me way too many years to get started on doing what I needed to do, the comparable result is that a lot of people I went to school with they're having a career now because they put in the work, or, and this is far more what is, you know, the case, is that people stopped. They stopped singing. They did not enjoy the process. Every word was, it's a grind, it's a grind, it's a grind. And I just got tired. Why were you grinding? Why? If you don't enjoy 2 hours of practice, 3 hours of practice, 4 hours of practice a day, why are you doing this? That does not mean you need to stop, by the way. That just means you need to change how you're doing things, and that you have time to change those things. So yeah, I know that this sounds like, oh, dealing with rejection is just a frame of mind. It's a perspective. Yeah, kind of. Listen, it's going to hurt. You don't go to an audition, not get a call back and be like, But when you have more auditions, when you have a numbers game, when you have a perspective, when you enjoy the process of going to an audition, going and learning new pieces of music, going and practicing, when you enjoy it, when you have stability, when you have some financial semblance, like you don't have to make a lot of money, but have enough savings wise and don't spend a lot, and enjoy that too. Enjoy being frugal. Don't put your happiness on hold, and then you won't need your audition to make you happy. You won't need the accolades to make you happy. So yeah, just keep going. You're all right. You'll get there. And until next time, happy singing.